What's going on, guys? D. Anthony here with Evolution Traders, and I want to do a little bit more of a talking head video where you can kind of sit back, relax a little bit. This video is probably not going to be any longer than 7 to 8 minutes. If it does go a little bit longer, I apologize, but a lot of traders really need to hear this. So put your headphones on, your earbuds in, or your phone, whatever you want to listen on, and just kind of take some mental notes. If you need to write some things down, definitely write some things down. But in this video, I want to talk to you guys about having self-awareness, because I think in trading, especially with social media, okay, platforms like YouTube, platforms like Twitter, StockTwits, wherever else, Reddit, wherever you get your educational content, wherever you're spending your time, these places have, in my personal opinion, have damaged a lot of people and hindered their ability to get to where you want to be a lot faster, because what it has done is give you a false sense of reality, especially myself coming from the educational as well as actual trader kind of background. What I see being thrown out there is a lot of stuff that is not realistic. That if you don't trade a specific way or use a specific return to reward, a specific R to R, if you don't, have a certain indicator or, look at the charts or have your charts set up the right way, that you can't make money. But more so, the problem with a lot of traders, realistically, and I've worked with probably over the past 2 years, I would say one-on-one, I've probably worked with 100 traders over the past year and a half, 2 years. And one of the biggest problems that probably 80% of those 100 traders, let's say, lacks personal responsibility. And what that means is self-awareness. Self-awareness and having the clarity and the reality of what's realistic and what's not. A lot of times, especially with the rise of prop firms and the content that's out there on maybe specific people who are funded, or some of the specific content that the prop firms themselves are promoting and putting out there, can tend to skew your thought process and what it is. Many people who sign up for prop firms maybe necessarily don't have the bankroll. They don't have the capital to go out there and invest their own personal funds into a brokerage account and grow a small account or even grow a large account. So the idea of getting $100,000 in prop firm capital, or trading a $50,000 account, or having 10 $100,000 accounts and being $1 million traded funder seems great. And I do think that it is a tool that a lot of traders who are undercapitalized definitely need to take advantage of. But you need to be self-aware in, in an aspect where you're not allowing that big fictitious number to skew your results, to skew the way that you trade. In all honesty, if you were able to even make 2% on a $50,000 account, it's $500. If you were able to make $500, do you realize that you are in the upper echelon of traders? Do you understand that the majority, the 90% of traders cannot even pull $500 out of the market in 30 days? Do you understand that probably 80% of traders, retail traders on social media, are not making 2% on whatever money that they are invested into the markets, whether it be prop or personal? So when you realistically look at that, it kind of makes things a lot more clear, because a lot of traders get things like misinterpreted because of the fact that you see, maybe even in your own trading, you've seen trades that you've taken where you've made $1,000 or you've made $500 in one particular trade. So naturally, because we're humans, because we're not the smartest out there, right? All of us, you know, I don't care if you have a PhD. You know, we're not the smartest of creatures, I guess you could say. But what we do is we associate that one trade of where we, that one time we made $500 or $1,000 or $800. And we think to ourselves that this is the end all be all, that if I can just do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, I'm going to be rich. And what that does is it puts a lot of pressure on you as a trader, because the harsh reality is that you're not going to be able to duplicate that one particular trade that you had last week or last month, or, you know, once in your entire trading career. You're not going to be able to duplicate that on a day in and day out basis without having larger capital. And a lot of traders don't really understand that if you really want to make a lot of money, you need a lot of money. And that gets blurred, right? That narrative gets blurred because you do have people that have taken a $5,000 account into 20,000, you know, $1,000 account into 10,000, a $10,000 account into 100,000. Those stories are out there. They're true. People have done it. I've personally seen it. I've worked with traders, you know, I've worked with a trader very close to me, and actually, you know, in my close circle of 5 people that I talk to on a day in and day out basis. A family member of mine, a cousin of mine who I taught how to trade or helped, you know, try to mentor in some form or fashion. And I personally have watched going from 500 to, you know, close to 20,000 in the span of 3 months trading options. It's possible, but those stories are not for everyone, and not everyone can control them, and not everyone can continue that success, and not everyone can duplicate that success. So the majority of people out there that are lacking this personal awareness, this personal like responsibility for protecting the capital that they do have, goes out the window, because all you really understand is, if someone else did it, why can't I? And you fall victim to that because everyone out there makes it seem so easy. And even for myself, sometimes I look back and sometimes I'll have, you know, a great trade day where I do want to go out there and share it with, you know, the community, or share it with even people who are in my own personal mentorship group. But sometimes I don't, because I don't necessarily feel that it's the smartest thing to do on my end. Now, can it motivate some people? Sure, right? But motivation is nothing without discipline. And if you need to be motivated, then you lack the discipline to actually go out there and do. So what happens is a lot of times people will self-compare themselves to others. So let's say, for example, and I'm just going to use a general example of numbers that I have seen come across my screen personally. I've had $1,000 day. I've had a $2,000 day. However, if I was to post that number without a lot of context to that number, someone will see that and think that it can be duplicated. But on the option side of things, like when I trade options, maybe my account is 2, 3, 4, 5 times as big. Maybe I'm taking double, triple, quadruple the amount of risk per trade. And let's say someone who's got a $1,000 account or a $5,000 account thinks that if they do the same thing I do, or they take the same trades I take, that those numbers can be replicated. And sometimes maybe they can, and sometimes, a lot of the times, they can't. Just like I can't sit here and try to duplicate or keep up with traders who, let's say, are making $5,000 trades or $10,000 trades. Because realistically, I'm not putting that much risk on the table to be able to pull those numbers out consistently. Now, could I have a great day where I catch something off the open that sets up and aligns with my process, and I'm able to swing trade that into tomorrow, and, you know, my normal money, the normal percentage that I make, you know, triples, quadruples? Sure. but those occurrences aren't normal. And a lot of times traders who are just getting started or having trouble can't understand that that's not normal. So the best advice that I can give to someone, and again, I'm going to cut this video because I don't want it to be too long, but the best advice that I can give someone is it's not about how much money you're making, but it's about being so self-aware and realistic on the amount of capital that you're trading to be okay and content with taking those what feels like small days, or taking those paper cut losses which you feel like you can't climb out of. Because without that self-awareness and understanding of what's realistic and what's not, again, guys, if you are making and you can do 2 to 3%, which at times can be almost too much, but if you can do such a small amount like 2% or 3% a month return on your capital. So if you're trading for prop firms and you have a $50,000 account, and if you can pull 2% of that $50,000, which is $500, if you can do that, and you can do that 2, 3, 4 months in a row, and you want to make more money, scale the amount of capital that you're trading. Go from 50,000 to now adding a second account and having 100,000, and that same 2% is now $1,000 a month. And if at $200,000 that you're kind of trading and managing that risk, goes up and up and up. So for every $100,000, if you can do $2,000 a month on that, I think is really, really good. And for a lot of traders, you know, that number's not flashy, because what they are going to compare it to is, well, at my 9-to-5 job, which everyone says that trading can make so much more money than that, I'm making $300 a day. I'm making $400 a day. I'm making $250 a day. And you're telling me that if I make $500 all month, that's good? That doesn't sound right. But realistically, it is right. And although you're going to have those months where maybe you make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 off that same relative size account, those months just happen because of the market gets into a hot streak or a great environment to trade. And your setups, according to your process, they're coming and they're free flowing and it's easy. You know, you're going to have those easy times, but you're also going to have those hard times. And it's when you have those market cycles where the market's not performing great and it's sideways and it's consolidating and it hasn't picked a direction, is when traders lose everything that they've learned and it goes out the window because they're trying to duplicate some process that happened 3 months ago or 2 months ago, or even what worked last week sometimes doesn't work this week with the numbers that they see on the screen. So think about this. 2% on a $50,000 account is around $500. Okay. If you can make $500 to $1,000 on one account, I would say have the discipline enough to stop trading that account and get a payout. If you want to make more than that, you add more capital. And how do you add more capital? You get more funded accounts. So now if you go from $50,000 making $500 a month to $100,000 where you're making $1,000 a month, then $200,000 is now $2,000 a month, and $300,000 is now $3,000 a month, or whatever the math may break out to be, right? So like if I was to say, for example, let's say, for example, you have, 5 accounts and they're all $50,000 accounts. So that would mean that you have $250,000 of trading capital, right? So a realistic number is going to be around that $2,500 mark, right? Give or take $2,500 to $5,000. So if you realistically think about it in that particular situation, where if you can make just 2%, but you have $250,000 in prop firm capital, then that 2% is now 5,000. 1% is 2,500, right? So again, my math was off on the first ones, but you guys get the point, right? So if you have a $100,000 account, 1% is 1,000, 2% is 2,000. You guys get what I'm going with it, right? Sometimes my brain goes, but the math is the math, right? So what I'm trying to say is that if you can just focus on something that's realistic and be self-aware that when you do have, sometimes you guys hit trades, 1, 2, 3, 4 trades, and you make really good money, like you make $1,500 on the week, and you're trading a $25,000 account. Do you realize that you did something extraordinary? Do you realize that you did something that most people do not do? So what you want to do is stay on the side of doing what most people aren't doing, because what most people are doing is they're telling themselves, I made $1,500 this 1 week. If I do this for 3 more weeks, I'm going to make over $5,000 this month. And what tends to happen is that P&L, because it goes up and down, it's never a straight line up, comes down a little bit, they get emotional, goes back up, takes another big downturn, they get more emotional, they try to get all the way back to where they were, and they end up losing it all. $1,000 to $1,500 on a 25K account or a 50K account is great money. And if you want to make more money, go get more accounts. You need more capital. You don't need to make more money, is what I'm trying to say. So stop trying to reach for the stars. Practice self-awareness, practice discipline, and practice having a realistic expectation based on the capital that you do have, and try to protect that. Most of you guys want a $1 million account, but most of you guys can't even manage a prop firm with a $2,000 minimum drawdown. Like, you are proving that you can't even manage $2,000. So what do you think is going to happen if you just magically woke up and you had $1 million in your account? You would probably lose it all, or lose a lot of it, because you still lack the necessary skills on the emotional side and the psychological side of things to be able to actually grow any amount of money. So if you personally haven't taken out any money and you didn't pay yourself, let's say, for example, we're in the middle of December. If you didn't pay yourself in November, then I think that if you can pay yourself in December $500, that's making great strides. And if you can pay yourself in January $1,000, you're making great strides. But what I also want you to be aware of is that if you make $500 this month, and let's say next month you fall shy of $1,000 and you made $400 in January, that's not necessarily like you didn't make any progress. That's still really good. You just have to build on that. So again, get into the habit of being able to shut it down and having that discipline and forcing yourself to be better than everyone else. You have to physically, mentally force yourself to be better than everyone else, because what everyone else is doing is not working. You have to go against the grain this way. Let everyone follow the herd and go that way, because everyone else is being led to fail. I want you going that way. People don't think that $500 a month is nothing. Have them talk to you in 6 months after you scale over multiple accounts. Have them talk to you in 12 months when you have $500,000 in prop firm capital that you're managing. Have them talk to you in 18 months when you've taken big payouts and have put in 5 figures into your own personal account to trade, and now using prop firms as well as personal to grow. Have yourself talk to those people in 24 months when you've been doing the right thing, and see if they're still laughing, because many of you guys are concerned about people not accepting what you're doing, laughing at you, thinking that you're nothing but a failure, thinking that you're never going to get it, that you're just gambling. Most of you guys are used to people telling you that you're a gambler, that you don't know what you're doing, you can't make any money in the markets are rigged, everything's a marketing tactic, people are just wishy-washing you and feeding you a bunch of nonsense. Those people are going to be led to stray. Those people can be proved wrong. The rest of the traders who are doing, making $1,500, $2,000 in a month and giving it all back and never taking a payout, let them go with the herd. But me, you, and everyone else who wants to really do this, we're going this way. because where everyone else is going, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to go where everyone's going. I want to go by myself. I want to go on my own because I have control by myself. I don't have control in a stampede. I hope that makes sense. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys would like to work with me, join Evolution Traders Mentorship. That link is down in the description box below. I've got one space left before we go into 2024. Would love to see you guys in there, and I'll catch all of you guys on the next video.